All right, the media coverage of Tony Fauci's testimony on Capitol Hill was as predictable as you probably assumed it would be. The man who clearly funded the creation of a virus that killed millions and destroyed the world economy was smashed only by Republicans for this careless egomaniac mad scientist that he now is. And now we knew CNN and MSNBC would defend Fauci. We knew that was coming, right? And we knew Democrats were going to defend him as well. They have to at this point over at CNN, MSNBC. After what they did during COVID, if they were to issue a mea culpa over COVID-19, they would never be trusted again. So they have to hold the line of what they sold you in those early months of COVID-19. And that's why they'll never, ever change their stance, no matter how much evidence gets put in front of their face. But this actually took me back. Take a listen to CBS News, which still holds a relatively moderate audience that's quite thoughtful and likes to hear the truth from both sides. Listen to how CBS put it this morning.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, who helped lead the nation's response to the COVID pandemic, returned to Washington yesterday to be accused of a series of crimes by Republican lawmakers who had no evidence to back up their claims.
No evidence. How embarrassing. So this is the new game, by the way, and we're seeing this throughout all the legacy media, not just the crazies at MSNBC. They just say there's no evidence when there's tons of evidence. They just come out and say that. I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know how these are still newsrooms. I went to journalism school a long time ago. I know what the rules are. There's evidence. There's tons of evidence. But just like they're doing with Biden corruption, the media is just saying there's no evidence of this. There's just no evidence. We have evidence of Fauci funding this lab, funneling the money through EcoHealth to the Wuhan lab. We have evidence of him lying under oath. We have evidence of Fauci changing the definition of gain of function to avoid the culpability of what he has done. We have evidence of a massive cover-up that started using his personal assistant, who's getting thrown under the bus at this point now by Fauci. That's what no evidence looks like. Just like all of those shell companies with money from China going to Biden, and there's no evidence that Biden ever took any money. Fauci also loudly touted the proximal origins paper in those early days of COVID, right? This was part of his cover-up, written by a group of scientists who claimed that COVID-19 was not a laboratory construct or a purposefully manipulated virus, and that no type of laboratory-based scenario was plausible. Now, Fauci was out screaming about this paper, saying, look, here, see? It didn't come from a lab that I was funding. It came from the market right down the street, I swear. But then we found out that those scientists were essentially forced into that conclusion. We've talked to Dr. Jay Bhattacharya at Stanford about this a lot. They didn't want to know anything else. All they wanted to think was that it came from this that was basically shoved. It was implemented that they had to basically come up to this conclusion. This was all a cover-up. We've since learned there's almost no chance at all that COVID was naturally occurring. It came from that lab, and your money funded that lab. But Fauci, of course, still claims it came from, of all the places in the world. Oh, we were funding a Wuhan lab that was studying bat viruses, and, it's naturally occurring from right down the street at a wet market. Sure. Fauci just trying to avoid spending the rest of his life in prison. He's a liar. He's an arrogant scientist, and he's a liar. Here he was with Jim Jordan.
Do you agree that there was a push to downplay the lab leak theory?
Not on my part.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I think most of the country would find that amazing. I still got 11 seconds.
But look at the facts. I've kept an open mind throughout the entire process.
Open mind throughout the entire process. Jordan can't help but laugh. Congressman Byron Donalds joins us now. Sir, it's good to have you on. Your thoughts on what we saw yesterday and again, the coverage of it. For them to say there's no evidence of what the Republicans are alleging here, it's just mind-boggling.
First of all, Tony Fauci's lying. He did try to cover it up. He did pressure Americans to take these stupid, crazy social distancing and other health guidelines, because it didn't matter where you were in the country, even in Florida, when you were having conversations with the local health department about what were the COVID guidelines, how are we going to manage this, the public health establishment all went back to Dr. Fauci. Now he's trying to act like he had nothing to see. He had an open mind, wasn't trying to cover anything up. We know it's a lie. We know it's a joke, but it's a terrible joke, and it's a repeated joke against the American people. We have people in this government, Tony Fauci is a part of that ilk, that truly believe that they are omnipotent, that they are never wrong. Yes. And when you catch them in their lies, then they try to gaslight you, gaslight the American people and say, no, we agreed with you the entire time, or there simply is no evidence to support your conspiratorial claims. These people are gone. They have lost it. So there's no reasoning with them. They simply have to be defeated.
You know, he's throwing everybody under the bus. He's trying to throw his assistant Morenz under the bus. I mean, what we saw yesterday, his excuses were pathetic. And the media might be able to carry him as they carry all the elites that are destroying this country. Do you think anything will happen to Tony Fauci at the end of the day? I mean, the committee's talking about potential jail time for at least for the cover-up. I mean, God knows what he deserves for creating the virus. But for the cover-up potential jail time, do you think that actually happens?
Not under the Biden administration, it won't, because the one thing that the Democrats know how to do is cover up. I mean, look, everybody loves talking about Watergate. America, let me tell you, you got about 50 Watergates happening all around Capitol Hill. Tony Fauci and what happened during COVID-19 is one of them, but we got many others that we can get into. They do not want to admit that they were wrong. They do not want to admit that their decisions caused harm to the American people. Specific to Tony Fauci, he refuses even to this day to admit that 6 feet social distancing came from him and his office and his department. He basically told the committee yesterday, I don't really know where that came from, but we just went with it. Yeah. This is what happens when you have the quote unquote experts lecturing everybody about what they should do when common sense and simple logic says otherwise. That was the major problem of COVID-19. This is why the American people do not trust the public health establishment, because the public health establishment, in conjunction with the media, lied to the American people, suppressed the speech of the American people, and now they're dissembling and covering up in front of the American people.
Well said. Congressman, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.